Now, you guys reached out to me and you wanted me to respond to Brandon Marshall because you guys love when I rant, apparently. You guys love the first take videos I make, and so you wanted to see me rant and rage and rave about what Brandon Marshall said and call him this and that and how he's a loser, he's never played in a playoff game, all this stuff. But you guys are going to get a different type of opinion today. I don't know, I haven't watched everybody's video that made a video about this, but this might be different from a lot of what a lot of people have to say about this. Now, for those of you guys that don't know, Brandon Marshall was a free agent signing of the New York Giants in 2017, and he only appeared in about 5 games for us, had about 18 receptions. He was, injury plagued season, and on top of that, he really didn't understand the playbook after he said he did understand, and he worked with Eli, but he just didn't understand the playbook. And so his stint with the Giants was short-lived. He wound up being a free agent bust for the Giants. We thought he was going to be Odell Beckham's complimentary, but that didn't work out. So at first glance, I'm looking at what he's saying and a lot of people what they're responding to, and at first glance, I'm thinking that this is Brandon Marshall just, having high amounts of sodium in his bloodstream, just extremely salty that the Giants let him go, because he made a couple of comments about the New Orleans Saints just a couple weeks ago, saying that their window was closing and that they're finished and things like that. And I knew in that video he was being salty because the Saints cut him in 2018 after signing him mid-season right before the playoffs, where he could have played in his first playoff game ever. And that wound up not happening, and he was cut a month after signing with the Saints, so you could tell he was upset about that. But this is a different situation. Now, he came on The Herd, Colin Cowherd, and I have mixed opinions about the show. There's some things I agree with Colin, some things are just outrageous, and his analogies are ridiculous. Apparently, Russell Wilson is comparable to his ex-wife or his daughter or something like that. It's weird, okay? But we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Brandon Marshall on his show. But Brandon Marshall was asked by Colin Cowherd if the Giants were a well-run organization. And before I get into his comments, there are things I need to clarify here too. So Brandon Marshall said, "I did not." So this is past tense. Now, he may be saying this in the now as well, in the present, because to be honest, not much has changed. Not much has changed that we're seeing, seeing evidence of that. We're not seeing evidence of change, but he was there in some bad times, guys. He was there in the 2017 season when everything fell apart. 2016, we're coming off an 11-5 season. 2017 is when things started falling apart. The team started not playing for each other. They started quitting. Yeah, Ben McAdoo throwing Eli under the bus, throwing everybody under the bus. Geno Smith was starting. I started one game. That team, 2017, was hell for the New York Giants. And remember, that was Brandon Marshall's only experience with the New York Giants. Of course, he's going to say that's a poorly run organization. And if you look back in the Giants' history, and I'm talking about historically, okay? We're not talking about 1986, 1990, and all those Super Bowl runs. And I think that's what a lot of people are misconstruing. He's not saying, because a lot of people are responding saying, well, how can you say the Giants are a poorly run organization? Look at our Super Bowls and things like that. I get that, but you're not understanding what he's saying. He said a poorly run organization, not a terrible franchise. You want to talk about a terrible franchise with terrible history? You're going to talk about like Atlanta Falcons or a San Diego Chargers, right? Those are not great organizations, not great franchises, right? But when we talk about poorly run organizations, it's the organizations that haven't had success in the past couple of years. You look at the New York Giants from 2013 to 2019, because that's really been the demise of the New York Giants. Everything was fine and dandy until after the 2012 season. And the 2013 season was the first hint that the Giants were going downhill, when the Giants went 7-9 after an 0-6 start in the beginning of that season. They picked it up towards the end, but we all started to know that things were starting to slow down for the Giants. Over the course of those seasons from 2013 to 2019, the Giants have racked up in those 7 seasons a total of 42 wins. In that span, that's a average of 6 wins per season, and we're also including the 11-5 season they had in 2016. So if that 2016 year was another 7-9 season, we're probably looking at like 4 or 5 games per year that we're winning. Of course, it's a poorly run organization right now, and I've said this on many podcast, and I've talked to this about many, many subscribers. The Giants are in a bad situation. They're turning into the Cleveland Browns very slowly because they are impatient. Something that Brandon Marshall said, and actually, I'm going to read the quotes right now. Let's get right into it. So, initially, after Brandon Marshall was asked about this, Brandon Marshall responded saying, "Oh, you're putting me on the spot now. I did not," meaning when he was signed in 2017, he did not think they were a well-run organization. I think they're great people. I think they're a great organization, but I don't think they're disruptive enough, Marshall said. There are a few organizations like the Chicago Bears, the New York Giants, even the Pittsburgh Steelers, where it's all about history. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, if you think the Giants, if you're calling the Giants a poorly run organization, then you're calling the Steelers because you just mentioned them. That's not what he's saying at all. He's just saying the New York Giants are all about history, and he's just bringing up other teams to try to help his point about the New York Giants. He's not talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers being a poorly run organization. I don't know why people are thinking about that. He's talking about multiple, other franchises that are all about history, stuff that franchises that take pride in history. But right now he's focusing on the Giants, so let's continue on here. They don't want to change certain things. They want a certain guy, and I think that puts them in a box when a game is changing every year, when the culture of the kid is changing every year, when the culture of the coach is changing every year. So I think, yes, they have a great leadership, great people, but they're so rich in tradition, and they want to preserve that so much that it handicaps them from actually competing today. Now, a lot of people really took this paragraph right there as him talking about the Giants and the Steelers and the Chicago Bears. No, he just mentioned them right there. He wasn't talking about them in this next paragraph. He's talking about the New York Giants. And what have I been saying? Hub, if you're watching this, I don't know who else I talked to about this. OGR, if you're watching this, you know this just as well as I do with management and the front office and ownership. They are so focused on getting back to the Super Bowl days that they are not willing to, build the franchise again. They are too rooted in their old traditions that they're trying to skip everything else and get back to their old traditions, and it's hindering them. I've said this time and time again. Look at the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns were a successful franchise decades ago, and still to this day, they're still trying to, get the tradition, get that tradition back. But little did they know, they already started a tradition of losing. That's what the New York Giants are becoming. I'm sorry, guys, I can't rant about this because Brandon Marshall is preaching to everybody that doesn't understand this. Brandon Marshall is preaching exactly what I've been trying to say for a couple of months now. John Mara and Steve Tisch are really starting to worry me as far as their ability of ownership goes. They're really losing it lately. They're getting impatient. This Giants team is a poorly run organization, and the sooner people realize this, the sooner things will change. Now, Dave Gettleman, I think, is a breath of fresh air. Joe Judge is hell of a breath of fresh air. Brandon Marshall wasn't signed during this time. He was signed in the worst times in 2017. The epitome of dysfunction in the NFL with the 2017 New York Giants, and that's where he was put in the middle of. That's the only thing he knows of the New York Giants. He's not saying they were a poorly run organization in 1990 or 1986 or 2011. He's talking about when he was signed in 2017. Now, he did say the Jets were a well-run organization. This is where the biasness really comes out and shows itself because, he's been with the Jets for a while. You could argue one of his more successful seasons were with the New York Jets, and he loved being a New York Jet. He loved Ryan Fitzpatrick. He loved Quincy Enunwa. He loved all these guys, right? Bilal Powell, he loved being a part of that group, and they went, I believe, 11-5, or 12, and I think they went 11-5 one year, and they missed out on the playoffs, or was it 10-6, and they missed out on the playoffs. I mean, that could have been a really good moment in his career, and they just came up short by the NFL rules and things like that. But that's where the biasness really takes control, and you could argue that some of that is sprinkled in the New York Giants argument. But he's telling the truth, guys. He's telling the truth. I want to rant about this. I was looking for something juicy. I was looking for something to just go off on, right? I wanted to release my rage in my new house. But I'm looking at his comments and I'm reading into this, and he's been saying he's saying exactly what I've been saying, and you guys weren't going off on me. I'm telling you right now, guys, you got to look at it. The Giants are just a poorly run organization right now. You got to think about it. Ever since 2016, the New York Giants have had 4 head coaches since that time. I mean, that's not signs of a well-run organization. I mean, what do you call that? So that's all I've got in this video, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I know it's not exactly what you guys wanted to hear, but it's what you guys needed to hear. And I'm confident in saying, you know, I believe what I'm saying, guys. You guys can talk to me in the comments, express how you feel. But the Giants are a poorly run organization, not a poor franchise. He's not talking about the historical significance of this franchise. He's talking about now. Now, we've all been ranting about ownership. We've all been ranting about the coaching staff, the GMs. We've all been doing it. So you can't tell me they're not a poorly run organization. I mean, all the banter that we have in these live streams talking about how much our team is going downhill, those aren't signs of a well-run organization. Fans that are fans of good organizations, of well-run organizations, don't say things like that, okay? So, that being said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you guys agree with me? Do you guys disagree? I want to know it all. Leave a like if you guys enjoyed. Subscribe if you guys are new. I'll see you guys in the next video. Woo!